A private mistake that becomes your prison. Guys, let's talk about this. True story, as usual. So he said he is 34 years old. We are going to call him Brian. Why? Because Brian is a white name. He's white. So according to Brian, his mother-in-law gifted him her old phone. She had upgraded. He said nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. She was just being nice. She didn't reset the phone. So she asked Brian to reset the phone before he used it. He agreed. Simple directive. Nothing strange, nothing difficult, nothing impossible. But Brian didn't reset the phone. And mother-in-law didn't delete everything on the phone. Now Brian, out of habit, curiosity, he went ahead and opened her phone gallery. And guys, what he saw changed his life, and not in a positive way. Now Brian came into a collection of his mother-in-law's nude photos and private videos. If you know, you know. For those of you who don't understand, these are photos of his mother-in-law without her clothes on, in her birthday suit, the way she was born. Apparently, mother-in-law forgot to delete this private file, images, if you will. Brian should have deleted them immediately, and now he knows that. But instead, what did Brian do? Poor Brian watched all the videos, all the images, over and over and over again. Now Brian is carrying shame and guilt he cannot explain to anybody. And no, he doesn't want to destroy his family because of this terrible decision of which he kept making over and over and over again. He has seen private photos, short intimate videos of his mother-in-law, things that were clearly not meant for his eyes to see. He is trapped. And what started as a temptation has graduated into fixation, into obsession. Mother-in-law has now become the object of his fantasy, even though feeling disgusted afterwards. Guys, now let me just say this. This means his mother-in-law is a baddie. She's hot and definitely not African. I'm not saying African women are not hot. What I mean is, our African moms, all they know is Facebook and WhatsApp. I doubt there's any African mom, a baby boomer, who is thinking, let me record my naked self because I look so good. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to Brian and his predicament. According to Brian, he loves his wife dearly. And that's what makes this so hard for him. And he even respects his mother-in-law too. He adores her. That, my good people, makes the shame heavier. His guilt following him around like a shadow. Guys, let's be fair. It's not like he set out to cheat on his wife. This is just a man who made one terrible boundary mistake and fed into it until it grew teeth. The shame eating him alive. He didn't go searching for this. He was just curious. That's all. The phone was already in his hands and the photos were there. Brian got hooked. Wow. He got psychologically attached to things he never intended to desire. So his wife received a call from mother-in-law saying she would be coming over to spend 2 weeks. Just a little staycation with them. It wasn't unusual in her defense. Guys, the timing couldn't have been any worse. Now Brian is panicking. Water don't pass Gary. Taboo, proximity, secrecy. Now mother-in-law has become a figure in his mind. All because he watched her private videos once, twice, and then some more. Wow, he can't stop fixating. And the real woman, the one who trusts him, maybe she even brags to her friends about him, telling them how good of a son-in-law he is. Now that woman packing a suitcase to sleep down the hall in his guest room in the same house. As my Nigerians would say, imagine the imagination. Now Brian is thinking, what if I started acting weird? What if she notices? What if I cross a line? What if I'm becoming a terrible person? Shame. Shame does something dangerous. It isolates people. It tells them you are disgusting, that you are alone. No one will understand you. You can never admit this. That feeling, it's awful. Most times, instead of seeking help, people hide, and hidden things grow. If only he hated his wife, the fantasy would be easy to explain. But he doesn't hate her. He just fractured. He has now become the kind of man he used to pity. If you were in his shoes, would you tell a friend? Would you go like, hey buddy, I am currently binge watching my mother-in-law's private videos. I'm in episode 3. I'm in episode 4 or episode 5 and I'm obsessed. You choke on this alone. Brian said he genuinely wished he could go back. He would give anything to have just reset the damn phone. But now these images are buried into his memory, even deleting the files, which apparently he has not done. It wouldn't erase the neural pathway he has been walking down over and over again. For those who don't know what neural pathway is, it's like a circuit that messages follow. Neural pathways control everything that we do. Our memories, movement, thoughts, emotions. That going back to watch the videos every now and then. That compulsive behavior, because the secrecy itself creates this intensity. Guilt increases obsession. The more ashamed you feel, the more you hide. The more isolated you become, the more your brain runs back to the same thing for escape. It becomes a vicious cycle. Many of us listening to this have our own version of this story. Probably not the exact situation, but something they accidentally entertained and now it is controlling them. Hello? Am I making sense? So what should our Brian do? Stop feeding the obsession immediately. Delete everything. Not tomorrow. Not after one last look. Delete it. My dear, you have been feeding an ugly impulse until it became a large, loud one. That impulse has a name, a face, and an arrival date. So what do? You need distance from the stimulus. No secret revisiting. No private fantasizing sessions. No emotional feeding of the scenario. Because right now, the fantasy version of your mother-in-law in your head has become stronger than the real human being she actually is. You are already taking responsibility. So don't be too hard on yourself, okay? You are not a predator. So stop seeing yourself as one and start seeing yourself as someone responsible for correcting a harmful pattern. There's a difference. Self-hatred alone does not heal people. Accountability does. Boundaries do. Honesty with yourself does. Now to the big question. Should he tell his wife? People are going to disagree with this, but personally, I think Brian should take this one to the grave. I do not think that every private guilt or shame should be unloaded on your innocent partner. If the confession mainly serves just to relieve your guilt, then that's selfish. Honesty or nothing doesn't work here. Guys, let's not confuse honesty with emotional dumping. And by the way, silence is not protection. Let's not confuse ourselves. We are not doing that in the year 2026. Okay? We're not. And you know why? Because we've grown and we're willing to evolve. We're willing to change. We are willing to take responsibility. I think what we should be asking is, what happens to the relationship if he doesn't tell his wife? Not every truth serves the same purpose. Not every secret should be confessed. Selfishness can be disguised as honesty too. You cannot just drop a bomb into a relationship just to relieve your guilt. That's mean. You are being mean. Will your relationship survive such a confession? Is your wife Jesus? Dude, your wife doesn't need that information. Keep it to yourself. Honesty here, it isn't the best policy. Not today. Life isn't black or white. There are gray areas. I say that all the time. Look, Transparency doesn't always work in a relationship. It is emotional responsibility that works all the time. Trust me, you are not prepared for the damning consequences of telling your wife or your partner, as the case may be. Put yourself in her shoes. If she told you the equivalent truth, would you survive it? And please don't sit down and tell me that men and women process emotions differently. It doesn't justify anything. Or if you love someone, then you tell them everything. Really? Are you Buddha? You think every couple therapy is always about cheating, betrayal? It's also destruction caused by unnecessary information. Now you know. If this isn't going to be honesty about realities that affect your marriage, that affect truth, that affect health, that affects your finances, etc., then this is where balance comes in. No two ways about it. A strong man is the man with great judgment. Don't get it twisted. Please choose silence. Change the behavior. Private repentance. I can't stress this enough. This disastrous secret is already leaking through distance, shame, and guilt. It has done enough. Okay? It has done enough. Truth without wisdom can destroy. In a nutshell, do not weaponize honesty. That's what I'm trying to tell you all. Let emotional maturity do the work. Also, see a therapist or a counselor if you can. And maybe you shouldn't be around mother-in-law when she's around. Okay? Look, this has nothing to do with you behaving like an animal. I didn't say that. No. It's just that when you are close to her, you re-triggered the feeling of shame. You need a lot of distance from your mother-in-law and not a test of willpower. Give yourself space and time. And to the men listening, I know you are out there. Until you feel you're in a good headspace to accommodate interactions with your mother-in-law in a healthy manner. Or maybe not with mother-in-law, but with some secret that you never meant to grow so big. That shame and guilt that you feel, it just goes to prove that you have conscience. You know who you don't want to be. Stay honest with yourself. Do the work. Do not feed the thing that is feeding on you. And when mother-in-law shows up with her suitcase, you hug her briefly. You excuse yourself to go catch up with work or go hang out with some friends. Just do something that keeps your mind engaged. You do not confess at the dinner table. No, Brian, you're not going to do that. You do not run away from your marriage. You run toward becoming a man who does not need stolen images to make him feel alive. We've all made mistakes, so let's just be human together. Share it for the person who can say it loud. Drop your comments in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button. Thank you.